Brock Purdy is the most polarizing player in the NFL. Either you believe in Brock Purdy, you believe he's good enough to lead the 49ers to a win in Super Bowl 58, or you believe that Brock Purdy is only the beneficiary of the situation that he has around him. Great supporting cast, great coaching. Can you trust Brock Purdy against Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl 58? That's the really big question. That's what I want to know. Because the last two games that we've seen out of Brock Purdy have been a mixed bag. And I'm not somebody who hates Brock Purdy. If you go through the videos that we've uploaded this year on the NFL, you know that I've been a big defender of Brock Purdy. And I even predicted that Brock Purdy was going to get the 49ers to this game. My question is Brock Purdy going to do what Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't do, which is make the big throws in the fourth quarter? Even though Brock Purdy is only 2 years into his NFL career, this game is going to define his legacy. It's going to define what the narrative is going to be about him for the remainder of his career, unless he can get back to this game again. Because think about it. Jimmy Garoppolo was viewed as a top 12 quarterback before he had that Super Bowl performance when he outplayed Patrick Mahomes for the first 3 quarters and 7 minutes of the game. But that was the problem. He didn't show up the last 7 minutes. He had that big overthrow to Emmanuel Sanders, which if that would have landed and that was an accurate pass, Emmanuel Sanders probably scores a touchdown and that wins the Super Bowl for the 49ers. But since Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't make that throw, what was the narrative about Jimmy G? He's a good game manager quarterback. He doesn't show up in the big moments. And after that, we saw how his career transpired. The 49ers lost confidence in him. When you don't have a quarterback who you can trust in these big moments in the Super Bowl, that's a quarterback who you probably could look to replace in the foreseeable future. This is going to be the game that Brock Purdy really puts his stamp on things in San Francisco. If this is a performance that Brock Purdy comes out and he throws 4 interceptions like he did Christmas Day against the Baltimore Ravens, or if he plays like how he did the first half against the Lions and the Packers, they're not going to win. You see, you can say Brock Purdy played well in the second half, but football is a 60-minute game, not a 30-minute game. And in a game like this, I need your A-plus game, not just in the second half, but in the first half too. You can't afford to take the gamble of trying to come back down 3 possessions against Kansas City. Kansas City is not Detroit. Kansas City has been in this game before, and they know what it takes to win. Brock Purdy hasn't. Kyle Shanahan has been, but he hasn't proven the ability to show that he knows what it takes to win in a game like this. When he was the OC for Atlanta, he was calling plays when they choked that 28-3. Hell, we saw what happened the last time he was in this game. His offense fell apart when they needed to come through the most. Part of that is because Jimmy Garoppolo just wasn't good in the fourth quarter. Is Brock Purdy going to be the same? If Brock Purdy can't be trusted in the fourth quarter to make the big throws downfield, they're not going to win. Because guess what? Mahomes is. I don't care how well your defense plays the first 3 quarters. Your defense can play as good as what they have all season long. But in the fourth quarter, you're not playing against the same Patrick Mahomes that you played in the first 3. Fourth quarter, that's when you're going to get his best. We've seen him have slow starts in this game before and come back strong in the fourth quarter. You got to be able to put this team away. And I don't know if Brock Purdy has that ability to put Kansas City away. You see, you don't lose to Kansas City. They beat you. You see, the 49ers have to beat Kansas City. They can't give Kansas City any small window, crease of being able to find a way to pull off this win. And that's going to come down to Brock Purdy's performance. And the last 2 games that I've seen out of Brock Purdy haven't given me a lot of trust that he's going to be able to get it done against Mahomes. You can tell me that he played well when it mattered in the second half. And that's cool. And I know I like to say a lot, it's not about how you start, but it's about how you finish. But there's been a lot of games that I've watched this season, like when they lost in the Minnesota Vikings that game was on the line in the fourth quarter, he threw 2 back-breaking interceptions. He threw 4 interceptions against the Baltimore Ravens. He didn't look good in the first half against the Detroit Lions. Didn't look good against the Green Bay Packers in the first half. He didn't look good for the entirety of that game. I'm not a Brock Purdy hater. I don't hate none of these players. I like to tell the truth. I like to give my opinion, but I like it to be rooted in something that isn't a narrative. And based on what I've seen out of Brock Purdy the last 2 games, it doesn't give me a lot of confidence that I can trust him against Patrick Mahomes. You're going up against one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Do you know what kind of performance you need to take down Mahomes? Like, you just can't expect to beat Mahomes showing up for 1 quarter. Mahomes can get away with it because it's Mahomes. And it's not glazing. It's not dick riding. Damn it, it's the truth. And if you can't admit that about Patrick Mahomes, then maybe you're the hater. You see, Mahomes can afford to come out slow because the 49ers don't have a good defense. Because you know what you're going to get out of Mahomes. The greats show up when the game is on the line. Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Brady. Mahomes is in that discussion. Brock Purdy needs to have ice in his veins. You got to be able to go toe-to-toe with this dude. Lamar couldn't do it. Josh Allen couldn't do it. Hell, he hasn't been able to do it twice. Joe Burrow is the only quarterback that's been able to do it. Why? Because he was able to play mistake-free football and show up in the fourth quarter when it matters the most. He was able to make the big throws. That's what Brock Purdy has to be able to do. And I just don't think he's going to be able to do it. I'm not a Brock Purdy hater. I think he's a damn good quarterback. I believe he should be an MVP finalist. I just don't trust him against the greatest quarterback of our generation right now, of my generation, depending on when you've been born. He's been playing flawless football. Literally. Josh Allen left it all on the field. Did everything. Still couldn't get it done. Lamar Jackson. He's about to win his 2nd MVP. He couldn't get it done. Brock Purdy? If these other elite quarterbacks who we perceive to be more talented than Brock Purdy couldn't do it, what makes you think that Brock Purdy's going to do it after how he's looked these last 2 games? It's a 60-minute game, people, not a 30-minute game. I'm not a Brock Purdy hater. I'm just a truther. And I think that the truth is going to reveal itself this Sunday in Super Bowl 58. If you want to win in today's age in football, you need to have a superstar quarterback that can make the throws in the fourth quarter. And I'm not saying that I don't believe Brock Purdy isn't a superstar quarterback, but do I trust him to make those big throws? I don't. I think Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback, but he's not an elite quarterback. Mahomes is. And that's going to be on full display when we see Super Bowl 58 play out. And it's not going to be scripted. It's not going to be because it was rigged. It's going to be because Mahomes was able to make the big throws in the fourth quarter and Brock Purdy wasn't.